Uncle Mark here, welcome to the channel. Let's get right to it. I'm working on a 2014 Dodge Dart. Some friends of ours, granddaughter's car, says, yeah, I'll work on it for you while you come up. They're good friends of ours. Shouldn't take long to do a CV joint on it, should it? The book or whatever the CV joint information says 1¼ hours. Wrong. I haven't had so much trouble. We'll zip through it pretty quick here. We'll put some chapters in too. You'll find those down in the description below. If you need to skip a little bit. But it was a nightmare. We ended up getting her grandpa to come down. He's an ex-big farm machinery mechanic. Helped me a little bit there too because I needed as many hands as I could get to get this thing off. Let's get right to it. So this is your typical CV joint. On the right side, that's the part that's going to go in the transmission. So of course, it's going to jack it up. Not much room under this car. Look at that. My floor jack just barely. But there's a nice big piece of, well, these are unibody, but kind of like a frame there. So safety first. I'm going to put the emergency brake on. Don't want it rolling around. Just under 84,000 miles, 134,000 kilometers here in Canada. And of course, take the wheel off. Well, you know how to do that, so I don't need to show you how to do that. Using a breaker bar for that. I'm going to jack it up. Of course, we're going to put jack stands under there because I want to be safe. I don't want Mrs. Uncle Mark having to bring me to the hospital. So I got my jack stand under there, and I'm going to try and make enough room. There's a piece under there, the frame part, and then something happened with the camera. We're in slow motion. Sorry about that. Darn camera. And this was where the boot was ripped. Whenever mechanics saw it, it's like, oh, you really looked good. It's kind of an odd spot, but it will let dirt in there, and once you get dirt in there, you know what's going to happen. Now this should have been easy to get off of here, this locking nut. Maybe I should use a different screwdriver. Some try and use like a Phillips. It might spread a little more, but you'll see here, this was just nothing but trouble. This is what took so long. So I used a bigger screwdriver. And I played around with this for quite some time. I've never had such trouble. I tried to chisel. And then I thought, well, maybe it's loose enough. Or maybe my air ratchet will take it off. So literally, good hour of monkeying around. I called for help. Called her grandpa. He comes over with, he says, Big Bertha, or whatever he calls this electric gun here. That'll take it off. It's like, I'm sorry that I was using an air tool there. Usually I just use hand tools for these videos just to show you, but like we're already into this for a couple hours already. I thought, well, let's take a break and we'll undo the tie rod end, or at least loosen it up. Then we'll get back to that nut there again. Here we go. Oh, so we figure we're going to get a good chisel, something that's really hard. Should be able to. Like this should be working. This should have already bent it. It is just tough. I don't know why. I've done lots of these. We were hoping we could spin it, but no way. It's a 36 millimeter socket. Probably won't. I know last time I was doing too much back and forth and this broke, but maybe. Just about. Is it coming loose? It looks like it might be. Darn. Slow motion, we snapped it. Oh well, good thing we have a second breaker bar. Don't worry, I got warranty for that breaker bar. They didn't even question it, but that's the place, that usually lets you break them if you have to. Well, yeah, kind of too bad. More monkeying around. Here's that second breaker bar. Same brand. Finally it started turning. Like, it's only set at like 150 or 149 foot-pounds, but I guess with those little tabs there bent in. Could have done it by hand. Give this couple schmacks and it loosens. Sure, it's metric, but we didn't have the metric size. Then the caliper bolts, 14 millimeters. Sorry again, because we were trying to get her out of here. And I figured it would be a couple hours, and it's been like, I don't know, 3 or 4 already. It's coming though. Hang the caliper up so we don't wreck the brake hose. Then it's got all sorts of goofy sizes here for the lower ball joint. Special kind of bolt. So you'll need a special socket. It's an E16, I believe. I'll write a whole bunch of them or put them in the description of set. Because one will probably cost you just as much as buying a set. Cheap set. You only use them a couple times. Of course, we have to have some issues there with that tie rod end too. Why not have more issues? Couldn't get this bolt out. The nut's off, so we sprayed it a little more, push it back, push it forward. Tried something on there again, a nut.
It's coming off?
So we can push it in, push it out. Sorry, we were cheating.
I need an extension.
Tried pushing it with a screwdriver from the other side. That's dirt, not smoke. And it finally came out. Okay, this should be easy. Now the control arm won't drop down. The ball joint won't let go. Try to spread this a little bit. There's a little ear on the end of that lower control arm that we're hitting. We're not hitting the rubber or the ball joint. Then this usually works. Put a bar in there and, you know, put it on the frame and push. And yeah, almost, but it stops. That's as far as it's going. It's not going to go any further. Fall with this for a while. Push it back in. So then the grandpa was figuring, why don't we just take this off? So we pulled the caliper mounting bracket off. The idea is if we can pull the hub out, it'll give some space here. So we can see if we hopefully it'll pop out. So what we're doing is we've taken the bolts out. We're going to take the ABS sensor out because I'm taking this hub off. Should be able to keep it in there. You will be able to keep it in there if you don't have to go through this step. Like I say, normally this hub gets to stay in there. If the lower control arm would drop, we could just pull the CV joint out. I guess this is bonus. You get to see how to take this off.
There's no room for nothing.
Wish I would have known. That there's not much room in here, because this is basically, it's not going to work, I'll tell you right now. Spoiler alert. Yeah, it gave us just about enough room. We're short by about, I don't know, a couple inches still. It's like, oh man. It did give us a lot more room to get at that lower ball joint, or the control arm. Yeah. So he's got a bar on the bottom. And he's putting some pressure on it. As I hit. And it finally came out. It's like, oh, man. There, that's the way it's supposed to come out. And you just give her a pull. If it doesn't want to come out right, we're actually prying. I don't know if you can see way in there where the boot is. We're actually prying on a tube from underneath. If it doesn't want to come out right away, maybe try and turn the CV joint a little bit. And pry again. You'll see the way this works here. It's got this little, it's like a C-clip or something. It's just like a piece of wire that doesn't go all the way around. And you see how it kind of flops up and down like that? So depending on where it sits, I think if you turned it, it might sit a little better spot that it would just pop out. It's just, that's what's holding it in there. So move it around a little bit. And I found out when I was putting it back in, it didn't want to jump in either. So I just pulled it out, turned it 3/4 of a turn or something, and it clicked in. See the way that works there? Yeah. So let's just, try it, see which, I don't know which way is the best way. The splines themselves are all the same, so it can go any way. It just depends on how this clip sits in there. Anyway, it came out. So then we take the new one, just stick it in there. We didn't lose any transmission fluid doing this at all.
It's in.
Yeah. It would click. That's it. Now normally you just pull it through here, and you'd have your wheel bearing and all that onto the hub, but because we've taken it all apart, so now we've got to get that lower ball joint back in to where it sits in here. This wasn't too bad. A little bit of fiddling. 2 hands again. Either way, you're going to have to take the ball joint or drop that lower control arm off or down. Trying to help it not to move around as much.
Got a little chain, but I don't know.
So we tied a chain to the bottom of the control arm and put it through my handle from my jack. So we could pull it down, give it some pressure. Pulled it down, moved it over. Ta-da! It's in. I think this is an E16. I believe it torques to 40 or 52 foot-pounds. Now, this step, of course, you wouldn't have to do if we wouldn't have taken this apart. Putting the hub back in, so we figure, well, let's put it in so it comes out easy. Put a little bit of anti-seize in there. So I'm sure, in the next 100 or 60,000 miles, 100,000 kilometers, we'll be changing this. So, not worried about the bolts, which are accessed from the back. I'm just worried about, the fitting through there. Here's those bolts. I think these are E20s. Maybe it's that E16. Not sure. Make sure you torque everything up to what it's supposed to be too. And I bent my jack handle when we were working, trying to push the lower control arm down. Get the tie rod back in there, the end. And we put our bolt back in for our speed sensor, which you don't normally have to take out either if you don't take the hub off. You will have to take this tie rod end off though, and it's probably going to spin coming out and it's going to spin going on. So you're going to have to kind of jam something against the top we're screwing it in from the bottom, but you have to hold the top somehow, put some pressure. And again, for time, sorry, we're cheating by using air tools and that. I believe it's supposed to be 63 foot-pounds. You can do this with normal tools. Then this backing plate, I'm thinking 70 inch-pounds. Now, don't get them confused, the inch-pounds to the foot-pounds. You'll need a special inch-pound torque wrench for that. Or just snug them up. Then, of course, our new CV joint nut. Now, yeah, you want to snug it up and then, yeah, light cord in the way. Normally when I do these, I'm by myself, and I take the time to get everything out of the way and check, but we're in a hurry, and he's on a mission too, so we want to get everything done.
Then you're supposed to pin these.
145 foot-pounds, it looks like what they suggest. You check though. Then you have to bang these down. These little tabs or whatever there, just so that it doesn't move. It's like a lock washer when you do those. See how they're bent there a little bit? Could have probably maybe bent it a little more. Then we'll put the rest of our pieces on. Yeah, get the little torque bolt back in here.
This is the little guy here, though? Yeah, but then this... Oh, sorry. Where's the wheel studs?
I think it was a 3/16. I'm sure it's metric, and I don't know the metric size, and he didn't have this in metric. 133 inch-pounds, I believe, is what you'd make it, or just make it fairly tight. You want it to come off next time, which you're probably gonna have trouble with. Now we'll put this caliper mounting bracket back on. I think these are E20s. I had to get a special socket for that. You know, the socket cost me more than the whole set's going to cost, a cheap set that I'll have listed in the bottom. So I'm going to buy the whole set. I believe 120 foot-pounds is what the web says. I didn't have a book on this. Brakes go back in and we're pretty much done. I'm not going to show you how to put the brakes on. Same way you took them off. Caliper back on. And wheel on, torque it, and she was on the road. It took a while, but also have a link up in the description for us doing the rear hub on the back of this thing, which I did by myself. 26 foot-pounds should be those caliper slide pins. Well, that's going to do it for this video. As you see, we had nothing but trouble with it. It shouldn't have been so hard, but that's what happens when you try and do it yourself sometime. I know some guys would show you, oh, just take this off, take that off, it'll be easy. You know me, if you've seen my channel before, if I have trouble, I show you the trouble, because you'll probably have the same issues. If you like the video, why not give me the thumbs up? Of course, subscribe down in the corner if you haven't already. I'll put a link right there. You can see it now, the little arrow showing you, where we have more videos on the same car, and as I'll keep adding to it. So if it's the first time you've seen this, who knows what's sitting there now. Till next time, you and your family stay safe. Bye-bye from Uncle Mark.
Remember to be safe. Your safety is your responsibility and should be priority number one. Also, give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Plus, please subscribe and you'll get all the notifications. It's easy. The little dog will show you how. Ring the bell. Ring the bell.
A hard time.
Everything's.
Try that one.
An easy job.
Oh yeah, that's what they say, right? Oh yeah.
Turns into a tough job.
Oh, it's coming down. It's just going up and down, up and down, up and down now. Which is probably okay. You want to eat something more?
No, I'm not hungry.
Nah, I'm okay for now. I was like, I just want to get this done. Yeah.
How do you get this?
Uncle Marker testing. 1, 2, 3. So it was, well, normally I would say easy, but not this time. But you may have, Plus, check out in my favorite channels, way at the bottom of our original page there. We've got some really good other YouTubers.